Hello and welcome to the Rapid Reviews Radio podcast. My name is Pete Beckett. I am one of the co-hosts. Usually I would be joined by Kiley Wild, who unfortunately couldn't join me today, so unfortunately you've just got me. But this is just going to be a short and quick one, basically, because we are in the season of Game of the Year. So this is not a numbered episode. This is basically just an introduction to any new listeners or any returning listeners who haven't listened to us for a while and have forgotten what our format for Game of the Year is. So if you're new here, hello and welcome. Thank you for joining us. You can listen to us every week on a Monday morning, or you can see us live on Twitch at twitch.tv/rapid reviews. So I'm going to explain to you how the Game of the Year works and the format, the rules, everything as such, and I'm going to reveal who's going to be joining us this year and what the games that have been submitted for the Game of the Year are this time around. So the rules is basically we get each person to submit 4 games that have been listed as their best games of the year. We put them into a bracket, then we are going to draw them out at random on the show, and then we're going to give everyone 2 minutes to basically discuss why they have nominated this particular game for Game of the Year. It will be timed, it will be strict, because we don't want too much rambling on for several minutes, and some people may take their full time up, some people may not. It depends on how passionately they decide to go into why they've nominated it. Then the next person whose game is nominated will then we'll then discuss the same format again for 2 minutes why their game has been nominated. The panel will then have discussions about that particular set of games. They will talk about it, they will discuss it, some arguments may ensue, some pacts might have been made in the background, some backstabbing and such might actually come into play, which will be interesting. I don't know if that's going to happen, but, well, we'll see what happens when it comes to it. There will then be a vote on it. There are actually 6 people that are joining us this year, so it's an actual even amount of people. So it might be that we have a stalemate. If we have a stalemate, basically people might have to make some agreements to let some games go through later on to want to get their game in at that point. So there'll be some backstabbing, there might be some bargaining, there might be a long wait until we can decide someone crumbles to want to go through. So we will basically do the discussion all the way through from the first round. So the games nominated will be discussed in the first round, then it should be a lot quicker going along afterwards over the next few rounds, because we won't need to discuss why they've been nominated. We can just quickly get to the discussion about the game at hand and then onwards. So as you could probably imagine, with 6 people joining us, including myself and Kiley, this could take a while, and it does. If you look back at our previous episodes where we've had 4 people on, maybe 5 people on, they've taken about 4 hours, so I'm suspecting this could take a relative amount of time. So we would usually record live on Twitch. Unfortunately, this is not going to be the case this time around because, one, we want to keep the Game of the Year relatively secret until everyone can listen to it all at once, because not everyone can join us live on Twitch. So we will be putting this out in an audio format on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and other podcast players such as Good Pods at the same time. Keep an eye on the social accounts. There will be something at the end of the episode to state where you can find that. It will also go up on several Discords as well in time. So that'll be in the Rapid Reviews UK Discord, Miketendo 64's Discord, and maybe the Modern Escapism one as well. But we will, you'll have to see that when it comes about. So, yeah, we will. I won't give a date because it depends on obviously the schedule of how I can get the edit out and at a time. But it should be out before the end of the year. We suspect it will be out a few days afterwards. So when is that going to be? So This will be recorded on the 14th of December. I'm currently recording this on the 9th of December as we speak. So it will be done this week. It should take a few days to get everything edited out, because as it being our final show of the year, we want to make it as production heavy as possible, and it can take a long while because of obviously the time spent doing so. So please be patient, please be aware that obviously I will do my best to get it out as quickly as possible for all you lot to listen to and to enjoy. The only thing that we do ask is obviously once you have listened to the Game of the Year show, please don't reveal the winner until after the new year. We do suspect that there won't be anyone that does that, because we have a great and loyal listener base who generally are pretty good with this sort of thing. So that's just all we ask. We won't be talking about it again on the show until the new year, where we will formally announce who has won it in our main show anyway, in case you don't want to sit down and listen to us for 4.5, 5 hours, however long it takes, which we completely understand. It's a massive time dedication, and it is that so for the people that are joining us. So we appreciate, obviously, if you've taken the time to listen to it, thank you very much for doing so. So next up, I'm going to announce who's actually going to be joining us this year. So along with myself and Kiley, who are obviously the regulars on the show, we've got several returning guests that are joining us who have all been on in some form or another, either within the last year or over the course of the time. So the guests that are joining us are Brent, CD from the Turn-Based Cynics podcast, Miketendo from Miketendo 64 and Game and Chat podcast, and Nana, who is also our mod on Twitch, as well as the person who's been doing the artwork for the YouTube thumbnails. So that's our panel this year. There's 6 of us, and it's going to be chaotic, to say the least, because we've never had this amount of people joining us before. So with that all said, there's only one last thing that I need to do, and that is actually announce the games that have been nominated this year. It's a very interesting group of games. I think some do stick to type, which is understandable, but there are some in there that, both from myself and Kiley, who you listen to regularly, if you have been listening to us regularly, probably won't be any surprise to anyone. There might be a couple in there that I think will be surprising, mostly from our guests. So I'm going to go down in order. I'm going to leave me and Kiley till last. I'm going to go for the guests first, and I'll go in alphabetical order as is the case with how it's listed on my sheet. So I'm going to start with Brent. He has nominated Persona 3 Reload, Star Wars Outlaws, Metaphor ReFantazio, and Shades of Horror Chromatic Split. Next up, CD, who has nominated and this is a very late addition, by the way, because of its early access period, Path of Exile 2, Ys X, Nordics, Age of Mythology Retold, and Concord. So Miketendo has nominated the following games: Pokémon trading card game Pocket, Endless Ocean Luminous, The Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom, and Emio the Smiling Man Famicom Detective Club. Finally, of the guests, Nana has nominated the following games: Virtua Unlimited Project, New Star GP, Zenless Zone Zero, and BOOMEROAD. So finally, I'm going to go to Kiley, who is the co-host of the show. She has nominated Squirrel with a Gun, Still Wakes the Deep, Thank Goodness You're Here, and Mouthwashing. Finally, myself, the games I have nominated are Helldivers 2, Pine Hearts, Astro Bot, and Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth. So those are the 24 games that have made up the list of Game of the Year this year. Like I said, this is all going to be drawn live on the show at the time. We won't know who's been drawn up until the very day. Not even I will know that until I randomly generate it all. So it will be a surprise to everybody. So I've got nothing more that I need to say other than thank you very much for listening to this short introduction to the Game of the Year show. I really appreciate you taking time to obviously listen to that. listen to this, listen to the show, and to be involved potentially in the Game of the Year listening. So where can you get in contact with us if you do want to make some comments, or if you want to follow us? You can hear that at the end of the show, but I will get that out of the way now. So you can follow us at RR Radio Pod on Twitter. Also search Rapid Reviews Radio Podcast on Blue Sky. We're also on Twitch at twitch.tv/Rapid Reviews every Sunday from 7 to 7:30 UK time. And you can also follow the podcast on YouTube. Just give Rapid Reviews UK a search on YouTube and the search bar. Doing the whole thing that we usually would do, give us a rate, a comment, and all that on the podcast players, including Spotify. Spotify comments are usually open, so please get in touch if you are wanting to leave a comment to us. It's also available on YouTube, and as such, as with YouTube, please give us a like and a subscribe, and recommend us to your friends if you wouldn't mind doing so. So thank you very much again, and we really appreciate the listen. We look forward to seeing you next week when it comes to the big one, the final show of the year, Game of the Year 2024. Goodbye. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Rapid Reviews Radio podcast. You can find the podcast on Anchor FM, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and various other podcast platforms. You can also find the video version by searching Rapid Reviews on YouTube, and watch the podcast recording live on Twitch at twitch.tv/Rapid Reviews at 7:30 PM UK time every Sunday. Please make sure to follow the podcast on Twitter at RRRadioPod, and for all the latest reviews, visit www.rapidreviewsuk.com or on Twitter at RapidReviewsUK.